Countdown.
You are a psychologist. I tell you things, you make a list. You've got special powers, though. You make me scared, you make me go. Could it be necessary? Could it be, telepathy? You always know what I'm thinking. Do you remember me?
Hello. Good to see everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I am here on this lovely June 10th. Excited to see you. I am checking up to make sure all my various streams are live. Looks like I'm live on YouTube, very excitingly. That's fun. And then I'm actually live on Twitch too, which is fun, but I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. And then I'm waiting to go live on LinkedIn. It's weird that it's taking a few seconds. Not entirely sure if there's some sort of weird, but I'm going to look here and see if maybe I'm live already. I'm a little late today. My friend Katie and I were actually just talking about being late and like the generational differences in lateness, because like so many years, when we were growing up, so many years ago when we were growing up, like you weren't supposed to be late for anything. That wasn't cool, right? And so we all strive to be on time. And so hold on, I'm just checking to see if no, it looks like it's still trying to go live on LinkedIn. I mean, that's fine. We can just, but I do want to make sure that, people can see me because, like, that's the thing. This is why you go live earlier, by the way, people. You go live earlier so that you can deal with all these things when you are, what's the word? Before you're live. But today was one of those days where I've been just really tired. The allergy season has been impacting me significantly. And one of the biggest challenges I had as when I was working in corporate was the fact that, like, getting up and recovering from just the number of allergens and situations that I had to deal with on top of my chronic illnesses was really, really tough. And so it would take me a couple of hours to basically get up and get myself sorted in order to be able to interact with the day. Let me just make sure, by the way, that there's sound coming from this. We're gonna have weird feedback in a second. Give me a sec. Perfect. We've got sound coming out. Okay. So the only thing we're struggling with right now is LinkedIn is being so weird. So I'm gonna have LinkedIn sort of try again. And this time it's gonna have like no content and we'll just be like, hey, intent, take 2. People on YouTube are gonna be like, Kelly's gonna be like, hey, what's going on? Something went wrong. Okay, clearly there is something going on with LinkedIn. So I may just have to like sort it out and just share it later. We'll give it one more shot and then we'll just figure it out from there. Oh, you know what we'll do if that doesn't work? Oh my God, I'm brilliant. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually take this watch link, YouTube watch link. I'm going to go to LinkedIn and I'm going to make it as a post on my page. I wonder if that's going to work. Oh, this is very exciting for everybody. Now here's actually really interesting. Intent is coming at you weird today, everybody. Okay, let's see. Let me just make sure it hasn't gone live. Okay, so intent is coming at you weird today. Okay. Courtesy of YouTube. All right, so I'm just going to turn off the LinkedIn one. We're going to do everything through YouTube. And we'll have the conversation. All right, that's posted now. Fabulous. And now if I click on it, great, it'll take me to YouTube. Fabulous. Okay, we're here. All right, so, and for those of you who are on LinkedIn who aren't able to watch it, I will upload this later so that you're able to watch Intent because it's fun to do live, but I get it. Sometimes LinkedIn doesn't do what we need it to do. So let us back up a little bit. So we're talking about this time of year where the seasons are turning from winter to spring. Now we're spring to summer. God knows what it is actually happening, but where our seasons are turning. And the allergens are really, really bad. And so I wake up. Well, first I don't sleep well. And then when I wake up, I'm very groggy. I'm allergic and it takes me about 2 hours to combobulate just till I'm functioning and like, oh, I'm alive. Okay, I can hear and understand what's going on. And, it's funny when people say to me that everybody has the same 24 hours in the day. I'm like, that's not true because for me, it takes me 2 hours, some days, to get up and ready to go. Some of my friends, it takes 3 or 4 hours because they have other chronic conditions that are very debilitating and simply getting out of bed and taking a shower takes a lot of their spoons. And so I think that, as I was, as I work on deconditioning myself from this space where the most holy thing that one can do is be on time for work, is show up and work longer, is sacrifice your health and life and joy and satisfaction for work, so that you can basically do the job you were hired to do. That is not a healthy way of thinking, right? So I've been deconditioning myself. And this has been an ongoing process for years, and it's better and better. So, like, obviously, I'm further along now than I was, say, a few years ago. But for me, part of that is being okay with understanding that things happen. You can be late. You can be bad at something. You can, like, almost the permission and the leeway for a little bit of gray area that exists that isn't something that is typically afforded to us in the workplace, is something I'm trying to cultivate within myself. And I would love to be able to obviously cultivate that in other places other environments that I consult in or that I work in, to be able to sort of take some of the pressure that is on us off. Because the pressure that is on us related to our societal conditioning about what is and isn't necessary to do in the workplace is something we have control over. It's not easy, but we do have control over it. And it's something that, like the organization's not going to solve that problem. They're getting everything they need out of us if we're working all the time. This is on us to do, right? And so it doesn't mean that I don't care about my work. And this is actually something I was talking about with somebody in a boundaries. I can't remember a video I was doing. I was editing it the other day, and we were talking about the fact that, the boundaries that I set. Oh, I know who it was. I was talking with Katie Gomez. Katie Gomez and I were talking, and she's doing a YouTube panel on the 27th of June with 2 other people. And there's a post I think I posted on Saturday about it, where they're going to be talking about the experiences of young people in the workplace. And I say young people, and I feel like, God, I'm a young person. I'm 70, I'm a young person. Like 47, I'm a young person. But when I say young person, I mean specifically Gen Z and younger millennials, right? The late stage millennials who are in the workplace right now and who are having a lot of difficulties because they do not have that same conditioning that we do. We, being the managers, if we haven't done any work on recognizing how this conditioning can damage us, we expect different things from them in terms of how they'll show up and what they will do, and the being late, being early, and putting in extra hours even though they're not getting paid extra, and looking for joy in their work and stuff that we were not acculturated to. We were not acculturated to that. And so that creates like a cognitive dissonance between the younger generations and the older generations. And, there's something that I read the other day, and someone said, I really hate it when we separate people by generations, we're all the same and so on. And I actually realized that the people who are actually able to say that are the people who are in power and are the people who have more influence, right? So it's really easy when you're of the group that makes the decisions, that's setting up the order, that's doing the thing, to say, I don't want to talk about these generational divides, because those generational divides we typically see the other generations as, making life difficult for us. And so you just need to get with the program how we do it. And so we don't need to talk about generations. They just need to learn how to do it. As opposed to this idea that we are generationally different because we grew up in entirely different eras, right? I grew up when there was no internet. Gen Z grew up with mobile phones and all kinds of other things. Their entire brain development is different from mine. Their parents are my peers, right? Their parents are people I grew up with. And what's funny and interesting is that you're the ones who are teaching your kids, dude, ask for what you want, do this, right? Because clearly you also realize this is not working for me, right? We're trying to create a better future for us. And so why I bring all this up is because I was late today. And there was a time where that would have crushed me. And I would have cried because I've been going live for many, many years. And I would just be like, oh my God, everything's going to suck. It's going to be terrible. And I would flagellate myself so terribly for the longest time because I was late by 5 minutes or 3 minutes or didn't show up or so on, right? I recognize now that life happens. You can do the very best that you can and life will happen. And compassion for ourselves is important. Compassion for others, we have no problem giving, oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. These things happen. But compassion for ourselves is something we don't know a lot about. And so that is something that I am cultivating. This is from my decolonization coach, AJ. By the way, as a complete aside, I've had a lot of people at various events ask me, and usually it's in passing, and so it's like we're quickly like rushing by. where do I find my coaches and how can they find a coach? And I want to just flat out say, if you are looking for a coach for anything at all, reach out to me. I have a list of coaches that I've worked with over the last 10 years. And I've worked with good coaches. I've worked with bad coaches. I've worked very hard to cultivate a list of people, many of whom are on my podcast, to talk about these issues in a more deep way, so that anyone who's interested in hiring a coach in those capacities can hire the coach, find the coach they want, right? Be like, oh yes, this is what I'm looking for. Hire the coach and then do whatever work you need to, right? So just as something to know is you're welcome to any of my coaches. So if you're looking for a coach for anything, I got you. I do not coach one-on-one for any of these things that we talk about other than research administration. I coach on research administration, and boy, do I coach on I will coach new directors on how to if you don't have a lot of experience in research administration, but you're a director, right? So like a lot of times people with a lot of experience are coming in and being put in positions of director positions in research administration without having research admin experience, just because of the lack of interest in so many positions, right? There's just so many positions. And so I work with them to help them sort of like create a bridge, and then interim leadership coverage and so on and so forth. So those are the areas in which I do. Oh, and I coach new research administrators. I do trainings. I do those things. The stuff that's underlying in terms of how do you rebuild some of these ideas, I don't do. I talk about them enough to be able to be like, here, this is the thought, this is the idea that's going to solve that problem for you. But there's usually another coach that's needed. And it's really going back to like sort of talking about coaching and stuff, because we have so many new research administrators coming in, again, with the Young Research Administration session that's on June 27th. Don't forget to mark your calendars, and check on my feed. It's there. You can put the link in there. You can RSVP to the event. So with all these new people coming in, there is a necessity for, I'm going to get my notes because this is where we start to get into the deep depths of it all. Is that there are going to be a number of people who are coming in without knowing what they don't know, right? And that's something that I talk with about 3 research administrators a week, varying levels of experience. And it's a call I have set up that I love talking research administration. I love nerding out about research admin, even if it's like, oh, hey, I have this problem. You want to talk it out? Or, hey, I heard, Vanessa, that you were talking about this and I disagree with you. Let's talk about it, right? I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world to do. And I love to highlight some of the brilliant things that I learned. So I actually have a few things in queue right now that are actually conversations that I've had with other research administrators where we've recorded them. Just conversations. Like if the conversation doesn't bear fruit in the way that anybody wants to put it online, we don't do it. But it's sometimes out of these conversations, some brilliant stuff comes out that like, oh my gosh, like someone else is having this conversation, in another state, and then someone in another state. And like, we need to be able to have a collective space online where we're like, okay, let's all talk about this together online, right? So that we're not doing it in disparate spaces. Like we have the internet, let's use it. But they don't know what they don't know, right? The same way you don't know what you don't know. Like, so for example, I don't know a lot about DUAs. Like DUAs are data use agreements, for anybody who's not familiar with them, are in place when there is data being transferred from one organization to another as a result of sponsored research. And I don't know a lot about it. And I want to know more because I'm intimidated. Oh my God, I'm so intimidated. Anytime I see a DUA or MTA, even MTAs, like I know what they are. I know when they're needed. I know who to send people to in various, like if I'm in any organization, I know what I'm looking for to be able to send them to this space. And I also know it's not my responsibility to be an expert in DUA or MTAs. However, I feel like that's a gap in my knowledge that I want to learn about. And so today, Melissa Marr is doing a session, Wicked Good Chats. I believe I also posted about that. I totally did. It's in the Mario Underworld, in the underwater image. If you look on my page and you just scroll down, you're looking for the image that looks like Mario World Underwater. That's the one, and it says DUAs on it with Melissa Marr. I'm going to that because I want to learn how. Okay, you know what? I wonder if I could like go live on the LinkedIn again. Just cause, like, I like being live on LinkedIn. Oh no, I think I just killed it. I think I totally killed the LinkedIn live. Like, I think that's just that ship has sailed, people. And I'm going to that because I need a resource, right? So now once Melissa starts talking, I will understand all the things Melissa does, all the things Melissa knows about. You know what I'm gonna do? Actually, sorry, I'm all over ADHD. Oh no, please don't. I gotta mute whatever this is. This is on Twitch. I'm trying to find my own page for you. Follow channel. Oh, please stop talking. Not you. Vanessa Inc. There we go. Channel. Okay. Oh my God, look at me. I'm totally there. All right, great. Okay, now I'm live on Twitch too. This is great. Okay, fabulous. It's not the most important one, but I wanted to make sure that I'm live on the various things. See, this is how we learn. So, I'm learning about the DUAs, and then there's a reason why I was bringing all this up too. Right. And that's why I was actually going to my YouTube channel too, was that the DUAs intimidate me. And so I'm looking forward to learning about the DUAs and getting a resource to where when I have questions, I know where I can go, right? I know where I can go. I know my resources are. So, the reason why this is so important, again, is because there's so many new people coming in, but there's also a lot of things that are changing all over the place, right? There's regulations that are changing as organizations are growing, shrinking, restructuring. Things are changing within organizations. There's just a lot of change happening right now. And one of the key elements that I'm finding in my conversations with research administrators is, so the new research administrators are having a couple of problems in that, one, they're either in an organization where there is no one else who knows about research administration to be able to support them. So they're sort of trying to figure it out on their own while getting support from the remainder of the documents and then the people who were working adjacent to the research administrator before. In other cases, you have a new research administrator coming in who has a boss that they adore, but their boss is just so overwhelmed because, again, the vacancies have been going on for so long. There's so much happening that as much as the manager wants to be able to invest time in this person, they are having trouble with the training. And in this organization that they're at, this particular organization, right, in this scenario, they don't have training sessions set up, or they don't have any sort of, like, West Virginia is putting something in place right now that's amazing. It's a very comprehensive process. I think Duke has one as well, where basically when you come in and you get onboarded, there's an entire process that you go through to acculturate you to how it's done at that organization, and to also provide you with baseline knowledge if you don't have it. If you don't have that kind of training, organizational training, then what is a new RA supposed to do? So this is popping up a lot, not just from new RAs, but from managers who are actually, they're feeling frustrated with themselves. And by the way, if you're feeling this way, please, I understand that it's frustrating, but don't blame yourself on this, right? We are, as leaders, we're dealing with a giant watershed moment in research administration where a great many things are coming to fruition at the same time. There has been a lot of instability in the way that we have been structured, and the pressures that are coming from various other activities, for example, the increased administrative burden, the lower budgets in organizations, are now creating a pressure cooker where leadership, middle management especially, is suffering significantly because they're not finding support from their AVP leadership, or their AVP leadership doesn't know how to support them. So a lot of times what I'm finding is that the higher level leadership actually really, really wants to make a change, but that they don't know how, because, and why would they? This isn't, research administration is having a problem across the board, right? So like one organization isn't going to be the one to solve this problem by themselves. Like we have to collectively figure it out, or you have to go outside to other organizations who have solved this problem and figure out the model and then bring it back. But if you don't know to do that, because this isn't something you needed to do anytime in the last 3 decades, right? I've been in research administration for 25 years. We've not had to do that before. We've just figured it out. And it's honestly, that's part of the fun. However, we're not in that world anymore. We're not in a world where you as the manager can be expected to bring on a new person while also managing your portfolio and training and onboarding. And there is just too much to do, right? And so we're finding that many people are dissatisfied on every level. And one of the things that has come up many, many times is that, someone will be like, oh, I got this, like, and it's happened 4 times in the last, like, I've actually made videos for each of these. I'm going to share one of them with you. So, someone's like, I got another support request. I have no idea what to do with this. And there's trainings online that'll tell you what another support is, right? Like, this is what it looks like. This is how you do it. This is the thing. But what I found that a lot of people are looking for is that, okay, This is what other support is in the story of research and the story of research administration. This is how it fits in. This is what it means in the context of our job entirely, right? And fitting it into the bigger picture. It's almost like, if you're watching Lord of the Rings, like this is like, or Game of Thrones, my God, that's like a, saga for decades and decades and generations. It just goes on and on and on, right? And it's tough to like keep track of all the stories and all the people. It's like a soap opera, right? Like after 30 years, you're like, oh my God. I mean, Brooke and Ridge are still together on Bold and the Beautiful, so maybe things don't change that much. But it's difficult, right, to proceed in the job if you don't understand the bigger picture context and the story in which everything fits. And so those are actually the questions I'm getting more, because it sounds like, and even my own research, like, and in the organizations I've worked at, there's a lot of robust technical documentation that says this is the other support document. Great. This is what you put in here. Fabulous. This is how you find this information. Wonderful. But there is not a lot of training that contextualizes it in the story space. And so what I've done is I've actually just started, someone's like, hey, can you help me with this? I'm like, sure, make a video. And so I'm going to share my screen with you. We're going back to being bad at things before you be good at things. So I'm learning how to be good at using YouTube. Okay. So we're going to share my desktop now. Look at this. Look at me sharing the desktop. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Okay. And you'll notice here as I scroll down, oh, this is so delicious. Okay. So here we go. You'll notice there's this other support video right here on the left. So I'm actually going to click on my playlists here. Okay. So I can get to all my playlists. By the way, We the North is my favorite band ever of all time. So, right now anyway. Be sure to check that out. Okay, so let's come down here and let's find my playlist. I'm looking for my research administration. Nope, this isn't the one. There we go. No, that is it. Okay. All right, let's start with this one. Okay. All right. So you'll notice, okay, that these are the videos that I'm building in. So basically someone's like, can you tell me what is this uniform guidance thing? What do I need to know about it? Why do I care? I was like, yeah, sure. Don't worry about it. I got you. So I made a quick video that basically says, this is what it is. And this is why you care about it. Someone else had an other support document and they were like, I don't understand what it's for. Why are we using it? How does it go? Right. And so I've got this here. This is how we're already in here. You go. Let's go here. There you go. Here's the other support document that kind of walks people through it. And so I made that video. And then someone says, we have a bigger problem. PIs don't really know how to sign their other support. Like I'll send it to them and then they won't be able to sign it. And so I was like, okay, you know what? Here, I made a video for your PIs. Basically, how to digitally sign your other support document. It's literally the shortest video of all time. It says here, this is how you sign your other support document. Bam. So it's a video that you can share with your PIs if they don't know how to sign it. So the whole purpose of this is to create more lubrication in our job, because one of the things that happens is when you are given something that you don't know about, immediately it's like, oh, and you stop. Right? And then you're trying to figure out, where do I need to go? What do I need to do? And so on. The purpose of this is so that anyone who's been given something is like, I don't know what to do. They can come in and be like, okay, I have a general understanding now of what other support is, what I need to do, who I need to ask things, so on and so forth. Part of what I created here, and we're going to dive into something else is related to this and why this is so important, is this document right here. So this is the other support snap sheet. And in here, so for your new research administrators, I have here, let's close this so we can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, in your new research administrator I have this section on the left, questions to ask your manager. And these are the things that when I do trainings, which, with new RAs, and because typically I'm training them and then they're going off to their manager, or they need to get more information from someone to be able to continue on the process. These are the questions they're going to need to ask. So these are the questions that you want your staff to ask you that often they're not asking you, but you're looking for them to ask. So this gives them that list of questions to know what is it that they need to be asking to make sure that they have what they need to be able to complete another support. Now, why I'm bringing this up is because, I'm going to go here for a brief moment, is Cleveland Clinic just had to pay over $7 million to settle allegations of undisclosed foreign sources of funding on NIH grant applications. This is a really big problem because when we're doing our review of other support and sending in these documents to the Fed, we are certifying on the support that our investigators have. Now, foreign involvement has become a much more, I mean, it was always important, but now it's getting to be like a seriously important thing where it's being looked at and scrutinized. Jeff So did a really great session at the annual meeting in, I want to say 2 to 3 years ago, about foreign involvement and the kinds of things that the Fed is looking for and what is, and he has a lot more stories, horror stories about people who were dinged because they didn't really think about how the foreign involvement would impact their research or in fact the organization, right? So now where, the chickens are coming home to roost and organizations are having to pay for not disclosing this information. And so one of the things you want to do when you're meeting with your investigators is just make sure that they're aware of their responsibilities related to foreign involvement. Now, the reason why I'm sharing all this is because I was talking with someone the other day who mentioned to me that they don't expect the people that they hire coming into the position of a research administrator to know about the uniform guidance. Because I was talking about how we needed to get salary increases, like at a very baseline. If you have no experience at all as a research administrator, like literally no experience, then my perspective is that, and I'm hiring you. So I'm hiring you regardless of whether you just got out of college or whether you've had other jobs in the past. The fact that I think and I believe that you are capable of picking up the tactical information related to this job means your baseline salary is $85,000, right? Now, I've seen all of the RA1 positions that are being posted, and they are not $85,000. Sometimes they're 45, sometimes they're 55, sometimes they're 65. I've seen director positions that are at 75, 85. So it's very clear to me that there is a disconnect between what we need to be commanding in our positions and what we are currently being compensated for. And the reason why I say this is because though a job description may say manage pre and post award, within that is a line item that specifically talks about, right, that we don't put in there. It's the silent stuff we do that says we are responsible for ensuring the review and disclosure of all foreign involvement to ensure that the organization does not get fined $7 million for not disclosing. And even if that's not what I expect for somebody when they first come in. So like, let's say, for example, you've just come in, right? Like maybe you just graduated college, right? Maybe you didn't go to college and you graduated high school and you did a couple years in something and now you've fallen into research administration. You're like, I want to do this. This is really interesting. I was an admin assistant and then I fell into research administration that way. So that's a totally, you're temping at an organization, helping them file stuff. You end up doing some research admin. You're like, okay, this looks interesting. So let's say that person, okay, is the person that I'm like, okay, I'm going to hire you, right? Absolutely right. When I first hire you, I do not expect you to know about uniform guidance. Like that's a lot to ask. However, if I'm going to be having this person do other support documents, submit our PPRs, do financial reconciliations, update their investigators on the status of their grants, and a number of other compliance responsibilities, then by the end of that first year, you will need to be knowing these things because otherwise we're not arming them with the knowledge that they need to be able to actually conduct their business. And what we're actually doing is saying your job is tactical, whereas we know it's not a tactical job. It's a strategic job, right? And so the question really becomes, why are we still writing job descriptions as if all we do is push paper when our actual job descriptions are deep, deep reservoirs of institutional, organizational, and compliance and administrative knowledge and process, right? That is something oh, hi. DOD isn't requiring the signature anymore. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God, that's so amazing. Kelly, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad this isn't streaming on LinkedIn. It wouldn't work. And so I was like, you know what? But Kelly will be here on YouTube, so I'll be super happy. The pay differential between better funded departments and central offices is sometimes quite disparate as well. You know what? So I'm going to come back to what you said about the UG too. I'm really excited about that. Absolutely. And I think that's part of the problem in that first, the perception of our job is administrative and clerical, because think about it, like in the 50s when it first got envisioned, it was secretarial. And I was talking to someone the other day who has an admin, she's a research administrator with an admin assistant. And it blew my mind because I suddenly realized we are seen as the admin assistants. no one has noticed that over the last 30 years, our job has changed to a job that needs an admin assistant, right? And that, I think, is a really interesting, delicious little nugget, right? Um, and I think that, and I think something interesting about the differential between better funded departments is also a lot of the investigators that I've spoken with, over the years, they actually really understand what the RAs do, right? And sometimes I think they don't think we do, because sometimes we don't, right? Because sometimes you have someone who's not been trained in all of those things. And so they're kind of just sitting there punching numbers and being like, here you go, right? And they don't actually understand what's happening because they're not being given that education. And they get it too. I think the challenge is nobody really knows how to fix it, right? And I think that there are some organizations that are being bold, taking steps outside of the box, and those are going to be the ones that we start to see some of these big changes happening. What I'm really excited about is that now that we're all talking more and more about it together collectively, we're creating more think tanks, more groups. I think the next 3 to 5 years are going to be really exciting in research administration as we start to reimagine it and rebuild it with these new understandings of the field. Now, I actually want to jump back in because I love what you said, Kelly. This is so delicious. I wish that I could find a way to put it on screen. I know that there's some sort of tool for that, but I don't think I have it yet. I am intimidated by the uniform guidance. Okay. So I'm going to come right out and say it. I am intimidated by the uniform guidance. And sometimes I don't even know what it says. Right. So I'm totally 100% with you, Kelly. So 100% with you. What's interesting though, is that over the last few years, like, because, I've been doing these videos and like starting doing more trainings and stuff. Anything that intimidates me, I used to be repelled by it and I just wouldn't do anything with it. Because it gave me this feeling of, ah. So something happened a few years ago where I went ziplining. That's what did it. My first time going ziplining. It was amazing. And I realized that I wanted to like lean into discomfort. And so I was like, okay, I want to become the expert on uniform guidance. And I was like, and I don't know how one does that, right? Other than read it and get it tattooed to your forehead, right? So like, but I'm like, that's what I want to do because it scares me so much. And, this is probably not it. This is now more in the last, like, say, year or so that happened. Then immediately after, I was like, this is what I kind of want to do. Gil Tran, and we start talking all about these changes to the uniform guidance. And it was a really great opportunity because I think, Kelly, for those of us who've been doing this for a long time, we have added problems in that, one, the uniform guidance is long, it's impossible, and it's confusing, and it's contradictory. So it doesn't make a lot of sense a lot of times. And even those of us who've been doing it a long time have to like break it apart. And so I have to be really honest with you. If I had said I want to be an expert in the uniform guidance in things that relate to us, because God, it's too long for the whole thing, 4 years ago, I don't think I could have done it because the document is a disaster. It is a disaster. It's built off of circulars and circulars and circulars, and you have a uniform guidance that then they've updated, and they've made changes, and then they've added this addendum, and they made this thing here, and it contradicts it 4 pages later. It's awful. With what they're doing now, I'm actually excited about it. So I think this is the time. And what I'm trying to figure out how to do for Kelly, you, me, and people like us who are like, uniform guidance, right? Like, I mean, because we know the things we know, right? I want to make like short videos about each section, like the IDC, subcontracts, what's changing, like what are like, little short videos that basically talk about that. Because if you hadn't noticed, I love making videos. So that's my plan on it. And the reason why I want to do it is because I think that most of us know what to do vis-a-vis the uniform guidance because it's in our bones. We helped write the damn thing, right? Like, so I don't actually, and I'm going to be really frank with you here. I've been involved in the circulars and the uniform guidance for so long. I got cocky, right? I would just, I know this. And I think that that's another thing that can happen, right? Is you'd be like, I've been doing this so long, and I'm that's why I'm glad for the younger generation who keeps me accountable because they're always asking, why are we doing it this way? Don't you think we should do it this way? And immediately my opposition defiance comes in and be like, no, this is how we do things. And then I remember that that's just opposition defiance and I need to let that go. And then truthfully, things get better because I've been doing it this way for a long time. And that definitely brings an expertise and an ease and a confidence with doing the work. But it also means that I get caught in my own ways and doing, bite-sized pieces. That's originally, so Kelly, I was going to do a video, right? And this was my dream. I was, I'm going to do a video. And then as I'm looking at it, I was like, this video would be like 60 hours long. And then watching Gil Tran's 2 videos, which were amazing, by the way, I realize that it's just too much information. Like, I sit in the video, I take a lot of information in, and Gil is brilliant. So it's not about Gil. It's just about, it's so much information, and I don't always need all of it now, right? So, tomorrow, let's say, Kelly, you're doing a sub award for, you're creating a budget, that has 2 sub awards on it, right? And you're like, oh, you know what? I know about these IDC changes. In that moment, you're interested in learning about the IDC changes related to the uniform guidance changes, not every other particular cost principle that may exist. And so that's sort of where I was thinking about for that. So, the reason why I brought all this up, speaking of the Cleveland Clinic, now I remember, I was like, God, so ADHD right now. Okay, let's go back to this. All right. So I made this other support snap sheet. We talked about that, but let's come down to this part that's actually, I did this part because, again, this is not something that we typically do a lot. I mean, well, we do it, but like now it's more intense, is a detailed section about, summary section about the foreign components and what the foreign components entail. And then down here, so basically it says that applicants and awardees must disclose all resources made available to a researcher in support of and or related to all of their federal say that again. Applicants and awardees, this is going to be a great clip. Applicants and awardees must disclose all resources made available to a researcher in support of and or related to all of their research endeavors, regardless of whether or not they have monetary value and whether they are based at the institution the researcher identifies for the current grant. Foreign components must be disclosed in a proposal as a foreign justification in the R&R other project information form. And you need to, if you want to add a foreign component, you'll need to talk to your program officer and grants management specialist. Now, the significant activities, because the question they talk about is significant activities, and the question that we all have is, what is significant? Activities that are considered significant are involvement of human or animal subjects, extensive foreign travel by recipient project staff for the purpose of data collection, surveying, sampling, and similar activities. Activities that may be considered significant are collaborations with investigators at a foreign site anticipated to result in co-authorship, use of facilities or instrumentation at a foreign site, or receipt of financial resources or support from a foreign entity. So those are the things that are considered significant activities. Now, the key is this, is you want to tell your investigator about this, and then your investigator is going to be responsible for disclosing this, because there's no way for you to know if they don't disclose, right? However, if there's anything within the organization that is foreign involved, then you will know about it, and we want to make sure that that is disclosed appropriately, okay? So having this piece of information is helpful, but I'll be really honest, when I've seen these trainings done for other support, myself included in the past, we really go quickly over everything. Okay, this is the other support, this is what's here, this is what you put, this is what's there, and it's like in foreign component is sort of just one activity in there. I know it's important, right? I absolutely know it's important, but in the scope of getting all these things done, the new RA, without having the full context and without having my years of experience, is not going to be able to take away from what I said that this is a problem, right? That's why I put it in here as this big red flag, because I realized that, you know what, we need to highlight the things that are super important that you want to pay attention to, even if we're not the ones responsible for doing this. I'm not responsible for maintaining somebody's foreign activities, but I do need to know that it's there, right? So that is so putting all of that together, right? Like, how does an increased salary tie in with our training, tie in with foreign involvement, right? How do all these things fit together? And it's fabulous how, I mean, honestly, it's kind of delicious how it all fits together into one like big story. And that's why I started my channel. That's why I do the videos that I do. That's why, and like, I'm telling you, I have a consulting gig, but my consulting gig doesn't pay for all these videos and stuff, right? This is just stuff that I do because I love research administration. And this is an area where so many people have a need that I was like, this is something I can help with, right? And so that's why I do this thing. Now, not everybody learns through videos, okay? I know that. So I'm going to be posting 2 posts on LinkedIn in my newsletter that will also go on my Patreon. And those will be for new RAs or managers of new RAs who want to grow and they want to know how to learn, okay? So like, there's a lot of different ways that you can learn as an RA, but not everybody knows about them, right? Not everybody knows about Dave Knows RAD sessions, right? Not everybody knows about the stuff that Nkura does or that as the training sessions. Not everybody knows about my videos, right? Not everybody knows about the resources that are available. And so they may be sitting at their own organization feeling very alone, not knowing what their resources are, and because they hate YouTube and videos, they don't watch my stuff, right? Which makes perfect sense. So these two, the first one is going to be about certifications, and the second one is going to be about resources that exist out there already. And I'm hoping that we can leverage that to basically just sort of send it around and be like, these are different ways in which you can supplement the training you're already giving your RAs to help them get up to speed sooner and make them feel more empowered and kind of like they have agency in their growth. It'll make you feel better as a manager because now you know that they are getting support in other places and that you don't have to be the single solitary soul dependent for them that they depend on to get all the information that they need. Yeah, okay. So, and then 3, and this is actually this one's kind of my own pet peeve, is I have a thing about certifications. I think they're great. I think certifications are great. Everyone who has a CRA, fucking amazing that you got one. I think some people get CRAs because there's a gap in knowledge. They want to fill the gap in knowledge and so on. And sometimes people get CRAs because they have imposter syndrome and they feel like they are terrible and they're never going to be good at their job. And they get the CRA hoping they won't feel like imposters. Getting the CRA is not a bad idea, obviously, because you're going to fill in all your gaps of knowledge and that inherently is going to give you confidence. But in coaching as many years as I have, I can say with some confidence that typically people who get certifications end up having the certification, having all the knowledge, but still feeling like imposters. So you still have to deal with that imposter syndrome after you get the certification. You'll just feel an imposter in a different way. And so that's something to sort of just think about. And so that's sort of my feeling on certifications. But I do think they're great because they're a structured way to get the knowledge you need. I think established programs are, without a doubt, a great way to become a research administrator, provided that you have a job with which to practice some of these things. So there's going to be a post about that too. But again, the purpose of it is to create knowledge to share out, like not even create it because it's already out there, but collect the knowledge together in a way that can be easily shared out among lots of new people. Because if you think of it, we ain't seen nothing yet, right? So where we're at right now is that there's a whole chunk of people leaving and we have all these vacancies. There's another set of people who's about to retire and leave. And we're about to see a whole new set of vacancies, right? And now you've got people who just came into research administration in the last 2 years, still baby RAs, are going to be I've been in here for a long time for 2 years, right? Which is terrifying because most of us know how long it takes to actually get acclimated to this role. And so I'm hoping that by building some of these things, we'll be preparing for supporting these groups because it's going to take a lot of different resources to support this many people as they come in, right? That's going to be the big problem. Okay, so how do I do this? Let me show you what we have. Okay, so I'm going to show you. Let's start with the YouTube. So the YouTube, there you go. So the YouTube's totally free. Every single video that I do not believe in gatekeeping anything behind money. Okay. So I do not gatekeep information behind money as a general life philosophy. Okay. So every single thing is free. Premium, that's my premium YouTube. Sorry. So that's not where I was going. Okay. So I'm trying to go to my channel. See, look at me. I totally know how to use YouTube. Totally. Okay. There we go. My channel. Okay. I have 59 subscribers. I'm so excited by that. You should definitely subscribe to me because, my old channel that I barely ever used had 147 subscribers and this has 59. So we really need to get that up so that at least it supersedes the one from, that nobody uses. So this has videos about other support. It has the intent on it. It has videos from this is going to have way more content on YouTube than LinkedIn will have because LinkedIn is a social media platform. YouTube channel is kind of like my living room. I'm going to be posting. I am a prolific content creator. So you have their capacity to which I can create videos is insane. And so there's just video after video after video. And if you have a video that you want, or if you have someone that you're like, listen, I need to teach my RA this, but I don't have time right now to create something. Vanessa, I need this. Can you put this together for me? Abso-freaking-lutely. I would love to. I would absolutely love to. So definitely ask me for any videos that you want. These are all free. Now, if you decide that you're like, listen, I would like to get the snap sheets because I have snap sheets that are associated with these, and the snap sheets are basically the thing that you saw here, right? So the snap sheet, if you want to get the snap sheet, which has this handy little checklist that's so cute. Kelly, I have a question for you as an aside. You mentioned the DoD doesn't require the signature anymore. However, now I'm going to have to go look this up now because, well, it probably won't even be the case now, maybe later. With the changes to the uniform guidance, they're supposed to be simplifying the process, right? To where all the organizations, basically NIH, DoD, all of them, they have the same requirements. So the question will then become, will the other support then no longer require the signature? Or will DoD have to bring it back in because they're trying to make it more consistent? I think that's really interesting. And especially it sucks because DoD just, like you said, at least this round, I think that's great. Like, honestly, I'm a big fan of that because that is the thing that takes up so much time is just getting the thing, like the amount of time I've spent just putting the signature on and doing the thing. It's just, anyway, we all know. If you know, you know. I'm going to look that up because I actually, or keep track of it because I would be hoping that they would get rid of them across the board and that like the certification that we do when we submit the grant becomes, or submit the RPPR becomes the NGIT becomes like our certification. But I'd be interested in that. That's really, and also, you know what, Kelly, it also makes sense. I wonder if you need those signatures on like, and I'm really curious to know anybody who already knows this, or if you already know it, Kelly, if DoD requires it on other support for the progress reports, but not for, they don't do progress reports the same way, do they? It's been a long time since I've done a PR for DoD. Okay, anyway, I got completely sidetracked because I'm wondering if they're pulling it from the template. It might be something in there where they can sort of, oh, that's smart. Okay. So this is really good. So Kelly says, I'm wondering if they're pulling it from the science CV template. It might be something in there where they certify. That's really brilliant. And you know, I am going to still look into it because I think that's really cool. But the reason why this is raising a thing for me is because I was just doing a snap sheet yesterday for RPPRs related to human subjects, right? Human subjects, and how the human subjects, like the clinicaltrials.gov, it has to match with what you put in the inclusion report. Like there's a whole series of checks and balances that happen. And so I wonder if the certification for this is going to be moving to something a little bit more, like you said, something like this where you certify it in like a more central location, right? Whether it's fed or non-fed, not relevant, but if it's a centralized location within your organization or within the Fed, it certainly does make it easier to track, right? Because then if you don't, if you don't disclose, like people kind of know. I love that. Thanks, Kelly. Okay, so this is the checklist, and this is a great checklist. I love it. I love checklists. As a reminder, before taking any action for anyone who uses any of my snap sheets, always consult with your institutional policies and your manager. This is only generalized stuff, very generalized, and every institution will differ. The Patreon, and I'm going to show you what it looks like if you are here, I'm going to show you the membership tiers. Okay. There are 3 tiers. When you come in, it's free. There's a little red button that says register for free. And I need you to register to access the content because I want to know who's accessing my content. And I want to make sure that I'm notifying you when new stuff goes up. So that's really the only reason for that. There is no, you won't see it here because I run the page, but you click on join for free. You get access to literally every single thing for free. If for some reason something is marked as locked and you're already in it, then it's by accident. Let me know and I'll open it up. However, keeping the channel alive is currently a volunteer position. So if you want to help keep the channel alive, there are 3 different ways that you can support me. They are all Star Trek numbers. There's $4.70 a month. You can support me for as low as $4.70. $22.70, which is 2 + 2 is 4, and 7, 47. Okay. Guardians of the Grants, or you're the IDC Spellbinders for $47 a month. Regardless of whether you're free or whether you are paid, I am so thrilled that you are here because the actual purpose of this is to get the information out there. So getting numbers in here, free numbers, is the most important thing. Paid numbers are great because they will help keep the channel alive, but free is more important because my actual life mission, my actual mission as a human being is to help people find joy and satisfaction in their work. That is my number one thing. Now, I happen to be somebody who can help people have joy and satisfaction in their research administration work because of my skill sets and my history. And so since I have those skill sets, I want to create as much as I can to be able to do that. And so that is my mission. I actually had a business many years ago where I was making $300,000 to $400,000 a year. I was scaling up. I'd hired a whole bunch of people, and I hated my life so bad. I actually was like, I'm shutting the whole thing down. And I went and got a job while I was, and I sort of was like, I wanted to recalibrate because I needed to figure out how was I going to get all this information out there. I didn't want it to be a capitalist thing where basically I was like, I'll charge you more and you can give me more and then I can hire you and you'll get this if you pay me more. And it was always about getting more money and gatekeeping things behind more money. And that felt so gross to me. And I did not know how to be able to provide all of this stuff while also saying, listen, if you got money, I'll take it, while also saying it's all free. How do you do all of these things together? And then I started watching more creators who have this kind of philosophy where we're all here to contribute together and figure out how we can make the world a better place together. And I use their model. So what I want to recommend to you is this. If you have anything that you need a video for, let me know. You're always welcome to, that's a good point too. You're always welcome to email me with a request for absolutely any type of video, because I work best when someone asks me for something and then I'm inspired to do it. I don't really do well with, I'm like, oh, what should I make a video about today? If I do that, I'll literally never make a video. So, all right. It has been wonderful hanging out with you today. Kelly, I'm so glad that you were here. I really enjoyed talking about other support with you and especially hearing about the DoD situation. That is very cool. I'm not seeing you tomorrow. Am I? Let me look at my calendar. I stopped sharing already. So I was like, I don't want everybody in the world to see my calendar. Yeah, no, my calendar is not super interesting this week. There we go. But next week, there's a Collaborate conversation on remote and hybrid work research environments. If you haven't signed up for that through Collaborate, you should. Kelly, did you? I signed up for this and I totally forgot. And we are going to be doing, just as an FYI, Kelly and I and the groups that we're with, the AI Collaborate group and the ERA Collaborate group, are going to be doing some really fun stuff on artificial intelligence in the coming months. So keep an eye out on that as well. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I'm about to go talk to my sister. We're going to be talking about more research administrative training through the STACK program, which she teaches, which is a fabulous, oh my God, such a good freaking program. We just had somebody who was talking to one of the students and was like, wow, they know their shit. They know their shit. They are good. So it's a great program. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, Sarah and I are working with them, STACK Education. Check them out. I'm going to go with Sarah. We're going to go talk about, what are we talking about? Oh, this is a big week. We're doing basically handing them a budget justification and a NOAA, basically saying, here you go, figure it all out. Oh, so fun. So fun. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day and the rest of your weekend. I will see you next week. We're going to get better and better at being on time and doing the things. But you know what? This is a work in progress. And also next week, hopefully we'll be live on LinkedIn. Have a great